you know what? I'm just going to rip this Band-Aid off and put it on the screen so that, because the through line always is, what did I do wrong? Why did I have a miscarriage? Did I not eat well enough? Did I not get enough sleep? Too much stress? I have too many jobs? I didn't get to the doctor. And it is 99.9% of the time, it's not your fault.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from somewhere in New Zealand, it's the Dave Benson Show with your host, Dave Benson.
Thank you. Oh man, it's Monday. Hello everyone in here. Hello everyone out there. Welcome back to the Dave Benson Show, the #1 independent talk show on the planet, and the only show where you don't really arrive so much as eventually realize you're already here. Thank you genuinely for pressing whatever chaotic festive combination of buttons, switches, voice commands and accidental elbow nudges caused this show to appear in front of you, and suddenly my face is just there, uninvited but fully committed. It's nearly Christmas, everyone, which means everyone feels louder, faster, slightly more emotional than planned. People are kinder, but also quicker to lose their patience, and nobody really knows what day it is anymore. Or just confidently guessing, really. This week we celebrate 100 years of the one and only Dick Van Dyke. Full century, an absolute legend, dancing, smiling, charming generations, and still making the rest of us look like we need to lie down. It really makes you realise just how incredible that generation is. Happy 100th, Dick. Did you know, Tom, that my grandmother is in her 90s and she still takes time to watch the show? I think she's probably one of my oldest viewers. So if you're watching, Grandma, a very Merry Christmas to you. Now, that brings us to today's festive question, which is inspired by a classic Christmas song. He sang it constantly, but was he really the happiest Christmas tree? Let's break this down. You're a living tree. You get cut down, killed. You're dragged into a stranger's house. You're then forced to stand upright while surrounded by the dead bodies of other trees, all looking at you from their windows. All of you are lit up with lights, staring out of that window like some sort of festive crime scene. That's not happiness. That's a serial tree killer's interior decorating dream. Somewhere the tree is thinking, yesterday I was minding my own business, hanging out with the birds and bees, and today I'm wearing tinsel and being judged by relatives. One for the books. All right, let's kick into the monologue.
Gears engaged, pressure steady, system at peak performance. Standing by.
Alright people, let's start in Japan, where a 92-year-old grandmother has just won the Tekken 8 esports tournament. 92! She beat 7 other competitors aged between 73 and 95. She's been training with her grandchildren and she now plans to enter a national tournament, which means somewhere out there is a teenager who's just rage quit gaming forever after being combo punched by a woman who remembers black and white TV. Also, Tekken, the game where people literally throw each other through walls. She didn't adapt to modern gaming. Modern gaming adapted to her. Next up, a KLM flight from Amsterdam to Aruba was grounded for 36 hours because of a stowaway rat on board. Not a snake, not a suspicious device, a rat. Passengers were put up in hotels while crews deep cleaned the aircraft and hunted for the rodent. Honestly, that rat lived out every passenger's dream. Stop a long-haul flight, delay everyone, get free accommodation, and never once have to explain yourself to customer service. In Colorado, residents of a small town went to war with their homeowners association after it tried to ban a 28-foot inflatable Santa. So the neighbors responded in the only reasonable way possible, by putting up more giant Santas. Nothing brings a community together like a festive passive aggression. At one point, there were so many blow-up Santas, it looked less like Christmas and more like a Macy's parade sponsored by Spite. Over in Brisbane, a bus driver rescued a koala that was struggling to climb a pole. He wrapped it in his jacket, let it ride the bus and waited for wildlife rescuers. Now this is peak Australia. Public transport, but occasionally your seatmate is a eucalyptus-addicted teddy bear with trust issues. Bus lanes, bike lanes, koala lanes. In England, firefighters rescued a cow whose head got trapped between 2 trees. Not a fence, not a gate, 2 actual trees. They had to use a telescopic handler to lift the cow free, which proves once and for all that being stuck between a rock and a hard place absolutely applies to livestock. In California, a hornbill named Pilly escaped from a zoo. disappeared for the weekend and was eventually found at a country club, just casually living her best life. Sue's staff actually coaxed her home, but let's be honest, she wasn't lost. She was on a wellness retreat, probably had a facial, judged some golfers and decided captivity just wasn't her vibe. In Oklahoma, motorists spotted a kangaroo hopping down a road. Deputies captured the animal named Martha and safely returned her to her owner. Oklahoma, where you can drive to work and suddenly think, either I need a coffee or that's definitely a kangaroo. The tourism slogan writes itself. Oklahoma, surprise marsupials available. In Virginia, Animal Services rescued a red fox whose back legs got stuck between fence slats. They freed it, treated minor injuries and released it back into the wild, which means that fox is now telling the most embarrassing stories imaginable to the other foxes. I was just testing the fence for structural integrity. In Germany, a man named Joseph Cardinal now owns 11,000 snow globes. 11,000! This is including globes featuring phones, helicopters and the Titanic. Somewhere a Guinness World Record official is still vacuuming glitter out of their shoes, and somewhere else a Lego collector just whispered, "Challenge accepted." And finally, a Swedish YouTuber built a treat dispensing piano for his octopus. The octopus learned to press keys in exchange for snacks. A marine biologist has confirmed the octopus is not expressing creativity, it is purely food motivated, which honestly makes it the most relatable music of our time. Forget AI. Octopus generated music is the future. Album drops when the snacks run out. Let's have a look at the YouTube news. YouTube's AI moderation has been busy this week, and by busy, I mean it terminated over 12 million channels. Not for crimes, not for chaos, but because the AI panicked. One creator had a video flagged for graphic violence because the AI mistook laughter for screaming. Another was age restricted because a reaction video was somehow deemed more dangerous than the original. YouTube says that this was all linked to a massive financial scam network, which is fair, but the AI is currently acting like a mall security guard who's had far too much coffee. Somewhere right now, an innocent gaming channel is whispering, "I just reviewed a keyboard." Mr. Beast has been at it again. He gave away a $2.4 million private jet to a random pilot, which is generous and wild and environmentally spicy. The internet immediately split into two camps. Camp A said, "This is amazing," whilst Camp B said, "Well, this is a flying carbon sin." Even some fans said, "Jimmy, maybe a Prius next time." To be fair, if anyone was going to give away a jet on YouTube, it's always going to be Mr. Beast. The man's final form is just handing out continents. A Florida creator is under investigation after launching a live opossum using a homemade catapult. Now that sentence feels fake. Unfortunately, well, Florida. The opossum survived and ran off, which is good, but authorities and animal groups were not thrilled. The creator took the video down, but the damage was done. This is why every time something unbelievable happens online, you don't ask what happened, you ask where. And the answer is always, well, it was Florida. Luke Nichols from the Outdoor Boys channel shocked fans by stepping back from YouTube at nearly 18 million subscribers, which is the YouTube equivalent of retiring at the top of Everest and saying, "Nah, I'm good." He said the channel's success meant he and the kids were constantly recognised in public, which sounds lovely until strangers start approaching your children at the supermarket. He chose privacy over growth, which is admirable, but deeply confusing to YouTube's algorithm. Somewhere YouTube is screaming, "You were the chosen one!" Australia has finally officially banned under 16-year-olds from social media, and YouTube had to comply. This means teenagers were logged out of their accounts, playlists, comments, everything. Some parents cheered, some teens cried, and at least one parent admitted they immediately taught their kid how to use a VPN. Nothing strengthens a family bond like jointly committing minor cyber crimes. Australia says it is about safety. YouTube says it might push kids into unmonitored spaces. Either way, there's a lot of teenagers staring at blank screens right now asking, what do I do with my hands? YouTube released its year-end creator rankings, and surprise, short creators are dominating. An Australian group channel shot into the Globe top 5 and briefly overtook Mr. Beast in total views, which is insane. People are now becoming global celebrities by yelling challenges at each other for 27 seconds. Long-form creators are watching this like Victorian authors watching TikTok saying, "This is not literature." Markiplier announced his horror film Iron Lung is getting a theatrical release. Now, he wrote it, directed it, starred in it, edited it, actually funded it. At this point, the popcorn probably credits him too. He's self-distributing the film directly to cinemas, bypassing studios entirely. Hollywood executives are pretending, well, this is interesting, whilst quietly panicking, I'm sure. The film is also said to make a record for the most fake blood ever used, which feels, well, quite on brand for him. YouTube has quietly unlisted every YouTube Rewind video ever made. No announcement, no apology, just gone. Somewhere the 2018 Rewind video just whispered, I was the most disliked video on earth, and now I don't exist. Linus Tech Tips publicly criticised YouTube's new collab feature, which pushes videos into your feed even if you don't want them there. In some cases, videos from blocked channels still appeared because of collaborations. Linus summed it up perfectly. If I blocked a channel, that means no. Not no unless my friend is involved. YouTube says it is helping discovery. Users say, well, it's helping rage. And finally, YouTube took down a live stream this week because the AI thought a microphone was a firearm. Not a prop gun, not a fake gun, a microphone. Now, if the AI cannot tell the difference between a microphone and a gun, we're about 3 updates away from a toaster being classified as a tank. Let's have a look at the podcast news. Joe Rogan spent part of this week warning America that mountain lions are basically doing home invasions now. According to Joe, this is because liberal states will not let people hunt them, which is a bold take, because nothing says balanced wildlife policy like a man on a podcast telling you nature's gone too woke. Joe says pets are being eaten, which is tragic, but also Joe Rogan lives in Texas, where the wildlife's armed. The Golden Globes added a Best Podcast Award for the first time ever. They nominated Smartless, Call Her Daddy, an Armchair Expert, and very deliberately did not nominate Joe Rogan, which kind of tells you everything you need to know about Hollywood. They did not want a podcast winner. They wanted a podcast that would not talk. Apple Podcasts now requires creators to disclose if their show is AI generated, which means somewhere out there there's a podcast that had to admit none of this is real. The host does not exist, and neither do his opinions. Honestly, it's probably still better than some podcasts. Elon Musk went on a podcast and said AI terrifies him, keeps him awake at night, and worries him deeply, which is kind of unsettling because Elon Musk is the guy who's building it. That's like a pilot coming on the intercom and saying, just so you know everyone, this plane scares me. And here is the real story nobody said out loud. So Netflix wants podcasts. Spotify wants video. Apple wants disclaimers. YouTube, well, they want everything, which means the podcast industry has officially admitted that audio alone is not enough anymore. You do not just need a voice. You need a face, lighting, clips, captions, and apparently a Netflix deal. So that's it. We've told you a 92-year-old is still playing Tekken. Mr. Beast gave away a jet. A YouTuber catapulted an opossum. Netflix stole podcasts. Apple asked creators to admit if they're real. AI lied on the news podcast. Elon Musk admitted AI keeps him awake at night. And someone just launched a podcast with 3 cameras and no plan, which means the internet remains absolutely feral. But out of all that, we've lined up an amazing guest for you today, and I can't wait. Tom, let's roll these festive titles.
I said I wanna see the Dave Benson Show, and I can't stop and never gonna let it go. I said I wanna see the Dave Benson Show, and I can't stop and never gonna let it go.
Today we have an amazing guest joining us who began her career as an actor, stepped away to care for her family, and returned as an award-winning filmmaker while raising 4 children in New York City and caring for sick relatives. She found her passion for storytelling, leading her to create films that highlight issues affecting women and children. Please welcome to the show, Catherine Cobb Ryan. Catherine!
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Dave. That's lovely.
Oh, so Catherine, it is Thursday night for you, Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening?
It's, wait. I'm actually not in New York right now, so it's Thursday afternoon. I'm in Vancouver.
Ooh, and what does Catherine usually go to Vancouver? I'm speaking like you're in the third person. Do you usually?
Never been to Canada except to go to Niagara Falls, step 1 foot over the border, and then come back. So no, this is flew out this morning. So.
Is it beautiful? How do you find Canada?
Oh, it's beautiful. What I found was it didn't feel like the United States, which was wonderful. I really expected to step off the airplane and get into the airport and just feel like I was in a United States airport, and I didn't. And
Yes.
that was actually really lovely.
Hey, Catherine, let's kick off from the start. So before we get to how you stopped acting, was it always a dream to be an actress? Was that the passion as a child?
No, it wasn't. Although the passion as a child was to run off into the woods and like maybe shorts and bare feet and create stories. So I was always living in my imagination, either in the woods or in my closet or sometimes in the crawl space between our living room and the basement. But no, I had never, being an actor was not on my radar.
Wow. And how did it come about? How did you fall into it?
Oh my gosh. I went to school it's too long a story, but anyway, I ended up at University of Arizona and I was looking for what I really wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do international business, political science, something along those lines, because I had done an internship during my senior year in Washington, D.C. for a congressman. And I was like, oh, I'd like that. I can travel abroad. Maybe I'll be an ambassador. And one of the classes that you needed to take to go to this school was called Thunderbirds that I wanted to get into. It's an international political school and political science. And I took a communications class and an acting class. And it was my acting teacher when I ended up withdrawing from school to help take care of my grandmother, who said to me, you have real raw talent. You should study some more, and why don't you do some plays or do some things? And I was like, oh, yeah, right. But when I went back home to Connecticut and was helping my parents with my grandparents, they got a night nurse, so I didn't have to do the overnight. And I saw in the local paper that there was a play, and I went, oh, I'll go to the library and read that play and see what I think. Oh, I could maybe play. I'm going to go audition. I'm going to put on glasses and put my hair up and pretend I'm a secretary. And I booked it. And that happened 3 times. And then the 3rd time was a fundraiser for Paul Newman's Hole in the Wall Gang, which is for children with cancer. And somebody there saw me and said, hey, you have a lot of raw talent. And there's a studio, an acting studio, William Esper, and I think you would do well there. And so he recommended me to that, and I was accepted into the program.
That must have been exciting. Someone coming up and telling you that and saying, hey, you've got talent. We'd love to see you at this studio. That must have been really exciting and enthralling and empowering as to what you've been doing.
Well, yes, it was. It was also kind of like, really? 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 And so when I went to the studio, it was full, and I ended up being accepted as an alternate and was watching class. But after a few weeks, somebody dropped out, and I got in, and I was like, oh, wow, I guess I'm here. I guess that's what I'm going to do for 2 years.
And then the acting came to a halt because you raised 4 children and you were caring for your sick elderly family members as well. So did that come back round to care for the elderly family members, or was that the part you said at the start which enabled?
What actually happened was I came out of the Lesper. I had agents. I started working, and I started living bi-coastally in California and in New York. And one of the years that I was in California, and I was actually supposed to move to Toronto for a show, I found out my mother had cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and I just immediately knew that this was probably going to be the end. And I hadn't had as much time in my life with her as I had wanted. And we had become close. And so I decided to go back to help care for her and just to be with her. And she gave me a lot of gifts before she died in my family. So
Oh, that's beautiful. And during that time of caring for your mother and raising children, did you ever think that you were going to go back, or did you think that?
Actually, thought I did think I would go back. But when my mother, she went into remission and she got better, we didn't think it would last. It lasted for about a year. But she started planting different seeds. She wanted me to finish my degree. She was like, I thought you would be the one of my 4 children who would finish the degree. So I went, I re-enrolled in NYU, and I did a speed through and finished getting my degree. And then she was like, so are you and Steve ever going to have children? And we're like, not right now. I mean, I don't know, maybe. And so she said, well, I just want you to know that you are my 4th at 40 on my 3rd husband.
Wow.
Without you. And so then she asked us to come up with a name for a boy and a name for a girl. And so after she, about a year later, took the year grieving, and I looked at my husband and I said, all right, so do I go back to LA? What do we do? Or do we have a kid? And I'll never be ready to have a kid. And he said, I'll never be ready to have a kid. And we went, okay, let go and let God. And then I was pregnant less than 2 months later.
Oh, I don't think anyone's ever ready to have a kid, Catherine. I tell you that from experience.
And you're also never ready to have a second kid or a third kid or a 4th kid. It just, you deal with what comes.
It does get a lot easier, as you're well aware, the more you have, because they kind of take care of each other then. They build their own.
They have their own little posse, and you can also lean on the oldest sometimes. Like, oh, can you go watch the baby for a moment while I take care of this? Yeah.
Wow, 4 children, that's a lot of work. Man, what's the age difference?
Oh, okay. So there's, we have what we call bookend boys. So Ryan, who's our oldest, Quinn, who is our youngest, with 2 girls in between, is almost exactly 6 years.
Jeepers, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of fun, though. A lot of beautiful times.
I loved being a mom.
Yes.
I would, but I loved being there for my children in a way that acknowledged them as fully developed, emotionally developed human beings right from the start. Something that I hadn't fully experienced in my life. And so it was a wonderful healing experience for me.
I was going to say, it's from my own personal experience with my own children, raising a child now to me seems different in terms of the connection I want to build. And I don't know if that's my own connections with my parents, but the connection I want to build and forge, and the kind of friendship as well as, mentoring I want to give them, seems very different to the lack of when I was being raised in the 80s. There was nothing. That wasn't there. Did you find the same?
No, a latchkey kid, How old are your children?
My little boy, he turns 7 next week, and my daughter's 10.
Oh, that you're in such a lovely time.
Oh, honestly, I'm so aware of it, and I'm trying to hold it so much. And with my daughter specifically, she's changing into a tween, and I can see it, and I can see the mood and the emotions, and I'm loving it, but I'm missing that little girl I had a year ago, and I'm like, oh man, this is just slipping away. So.
As she goes through that, you are going to get to understand so much more about her. And I really believe that your friendship grows deeper. When your parenting gets harder, your friendship has the chance to grow deeper, in the guiding. And I know that my husband and one of his brothers had children who were several years, a few years older than us. And he would talk about, oh, I love this stage. And we'd go, yeah, no, we love our stage. We're very where we're then we would get to that stage and go, oh, this is hard, but I love this stage, seeing them become their own people. So
Yes.
you have
Yeah.
wonderful things to look forward to.
So I'm going to say that you are so brave as well, because then once you'd kind of done the children and you'd suffered loss, then you decided to start talking about it and put it into a movie. And well, that's really brave to be able to open up and say that. A lot of people don't, like you say, a lot of women kind of who go through miscarriage and various things, they kind of engulf it and say, I must continue for whatever. And you've been able to come out and portray your story, and hopefully that helps others as well. So,
but I didn't when I had a couple miscarriages, but this was about one that I was further along, and I didn't. And I went through it alone. It was just my husband and myself, and he was out of town, and it was during trick-or-treating. And I mean, while I was miscarrying, I'm trick-or-treating with my children, and I'm hugging my friends who are saying, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful.
oh,
And I'm literally bleeding out, like going, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it was several years later that a director encouraged me to write my story and said people would want to hear that and they'd want to see it. And so I started asking around, literally, if I was at a movie theater or going to the theater at a show, and I would turn and I'd say, can I ask you a really bold personal question? And you can say no or leave me alone, but would you ever be interested in seeing a miscarriage story on the screen? And I started finding out how many women had had miscarriages. And they started sharing their story. And so it gave me the bravery to say, you know what, I'm just going to rip this Band-Aid off and put it on the screen, so that, because the through line always is, what did I do wrong? Why did I have a miscarriage? Did I not eat well enough? Did I not get enough sleep? Too much stress? I had too many jobs. I didn't get to the doctor. And it is 99.9% of the time, it's not your fault. It's not like we've done anything wrong. And so often we internalize that. And I wanted to show the story of a woman who had everything. And she already had a child, but was still desperate to have another one, and was having trouble getting pregnant. And doesn't do anything wrong, and miscarries. It happens, and it's devastating.
it's interesting as well. I mean, there's two aspects. There's one as a husband to understand, or a partner, it doesn't matter if it's a husband or a partner, to be able to support and understand what someone's going through. And then also to be able to understand at what point it never ends. So the guilt you're feeling, how it's going through, for you, it's a continuation. But for someone else, it's, well, that was 3 months ago. We've moved on now. And to understand how that just...
That is also a dynamic. But what I found more often than not was partners would end up burying themselves in work. And the women who had miscarried didn't tell anyone else.
Oh, suffer in silence.
I held so many miscarriage stories during that festival run. And the film is online now. It's on my website. I put it up on my website so that people could view it. I took it down, put it up, I've taken it down. Anyway.
We're going to put that right here so people can see where the link is, so they can click that. That's definitely going there. What out of that and out of understanding that, what's now a path for those women who are going through it to be able to reach out to? Is there groups that they can now form to? Or
when I did that film in the late teens, after it came out and around the time it came out, some celebrities started sharing that they had a miscarriage, and a lot of groups are online. The March of Dimes, who wasn't a sponsor, partnered with me in my film because I really wanted to have a place for women to go. They have grief groups, but any woman's center now seems to have some support. And there are a lot of online things as well.
Okay. Well, again, we will put some links down below to anything we can find to help out there. So if anyone's looking, you'll be able to find the links down below. Now, Season of Passage won Best Dramatic Short at the Manhattan Film Festival. How did that feel? So that must have been exciting.
To say, I mean, it was my first film. I really felt like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I produced it and directed it, and it was amazing. It was wonderful. And there were so many good shorts, and you never, because my current film, which we'll get to, I know, but we just were in a film block with 5 other films, and they were all fabulous, like fabulous films. So, when it comes to a short film, you just don't know which film is going to strike the jury in a particular way. And the one thing I've realized, that even if you don't get that short film, it doesn't mean that your film wasn't also one of the best. I also felt like in that festival, oh, wow, there were some really strong films in my block. So it was very exciting.
But it must have been different for you because I don't know what the other short films were, but so much of your story was in that movie. So it was so close to the bone.
I think it was the bravery. They felt that it was very brave. I showed the miscarriage. I show something that I had never, and I don't know if it's ever been put anywhere else. I almost don't want to say it, but trying to save some of the remains to get tested, to understand why. That I got pushback on, I think it's, 3 seconds, right? I got a lot of pushback on, you don't need to have that in the film. And I was like, yeah, I do. And I'm going to leave it in because women need to see they're not alone. They're not the only ones doing this, So it was
I think
less about the festival run than sharing with women, but the festival gives you the opportunity to find the audience.
I think those moments that you can relate to, you understand, you've been through it, you did the same thing, other people are doing the same thing. And while someone may say, well, you don't need to leave that in because, maybe that's a bit too far or we don't want to see that. Well, hang on, that's what people do. So let's show what people do. So someone watching it goes, oh, I'm not so alone in this world. I'm not crazy. I'm not the only person who does that.
Well, the thing that really upset me at some point was I was like, okay, so you want me to cut that out, but you can blow a hole in a guy's chest and have blood splatter everywhere and an arm come off or half of that, and that's fine? Wait, just because this is blood that comes out a different orifice? I mean, it made so little sense to me. I was just like, I'd rather not show it at your festival.
Yeah, just because it makes you feel uncomfortable, it doesn't mean it's any less. Yeah, I agree.
I can't watch horror. I cannot watch anything that has blood and gore. I'm always like this. Is it done yet? Is it? Oh my God. Tell me when it's done. I mean, I can't even watch hospital shows.
I fully understand. So I get sent a lot of screeners to review and say, people love to send me horror movies. And I'm a big scaredy cat. So anytime I get a horror movie, it's like 2 p.m. that I try and watch it, and it's bright daylight, and I'm like, okay, we're going to get through this. So, yeah, it scares everything out of me. Oh, so let's talk about Lifesaver.
Lifesaver. I am very proud of this. This is
it looks amazing.
Oh, thank you. I thought I was done making films. And this story I had already written based personal experience I had. I don't know if you saw my Seed and Spark. I did a fundraiser and I shared a personal experience that inspired the story, but it also has pieces of my family's history and people I know who've had issues. And it's based around a three-generation family, a grandmother, a daughter, and then a granddaughter, single mothers, set in the South, looking at intergenerational trauma around sexual harassment, around the tolerance, and how the seeds of it really can start in bullying on the playground. And a lot of boys will be boys, and boys will be boys with other boys. And just a lot of excusal around that makes especially young girls feel abandoned and not listened to. And in my film, each of the characters is experiencing a form of harassment and bullying at different stages. And you can see how the intergenerational trauma and the response that the grandmother has to it has been passed on to the daughter, who then, in her own pushback of her mother and in her own experience, then has her own response to it that she passes on to her first grade daughter, who is not being listened to and being told basically to deal with it. And she's like, wait, no, this doesn't work for me. Nobody's listening. And I'm sure you know that you had your kids come home and say, whether it was being bullied on the playground or trying to get a teacher to understand that they were maybe confused or wanting to hear, how often adults dismiss children.
Yes.
And it's hard. And so I wanted to show that even as her mother and her grandmother are compassionate to her situation, they're dealing with their own stuff, and they're like, basically, just, you got to deal with it. And she's being ignored, and she, starts to become desperate, and she makes a dangerous discovery, and it just doesn't need to happen.
Yeah, I'm honestly looking forward to seeing it. I can see exactly what you say, because when I watched the trailer, and one of the comments to the little girl was, "It's just because you're pretty," and it was just dismissing. But you could also see that line would have been something her mother would have been told at the same sort of age as well. So, yeah,
Love that you picked that. And
I love the music to it, the whole feel about it. So I really am looking forward to seeing it.
My son, my eldest child, scored it and helped me with some of the music, picking out some of the music.
Wow, that's so cool. Are your kids totally involved in your filmmaking?
So my first film, I was like, my youngest played one of our trick-or-treaters, and his older sister, I think Quinn was 8, and I think Amanda was 10. She made the Halloween treats and all the cupcakes and the decorations. She made those. And the other daughter, who had just started high school, she went out with me on Halloween morning to try and get some pickup shots. And my eldest son, who had just gone off to college, I think he was in his first year of college, I called him up and I was like, I can't afford radio songs. I need you to write me and record just 30 seconds of 2 very different radio songs. One's like this and one's like that. And he was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And I booked the studio. He didn't use it. He wasn't getting around to it. And I think he was in midterms. And I called him up. I'm like, Ryan, I need this. He goes, Mommy, I'm in midterms. And I'm like, no. Okay, forget your midterms. Just get so many play songs. Sick in college at for music, but he did that. And then this time, I was having difficulty getting the kind of. I didn't need a lot of score because it has so much music in it, And I just wanted simple acoustic guitar with little twang. And one day my son stopped by home and I was saying, oh, I'm frustrated. And then he goes, oh, no, 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 no. All you need is this. And he grabbed his guitar and he started, I was like, whoa, 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 where's my phone? Let's start recording this. And he just started working on it together and took him into the studio. And yeah, so that was real.
That's so cool. That must make you feel really warm inside working with your kids and having them be a part of your journey.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. No, it's wonderful. And this time, Ryan was the only one who was able to because others were in school and working, off in college and everything. But he's a musician now in New York. So he was available and he's my kid and I wanted him to do it.
That's so cool. Catherine, we do a fast fire questions. Are you up for the fast fire questions?
Sure.
All right.
Okay. Let's see what I can do.
All right. Coffee or tea early in the morning?
Coffee.
Which filmmaker inspires you the most?
Oh, I don't think I can answer that. Right now I'm on a Kenneth Lonergan kick.
One word that describes your directing style?
Gentle.
If you could adapt any classic story, what would it be?
I don't know if The Secret Garden is a classic children's story, but it was classic for me when I was little.
Ooh, I like that story. Go-to snack during editing?
Pistachios.
We haven't had pistachios before. I like that. What's a hobby people don't know you have?
Pickleball.
I love pickleball.
Wonderful, fun sport. We laugh so hard when we play.
Yes. I play with my wife and her parents come over every Sunday and we play pickle. Yes.
Oh, I love that. We were introduced to it from our youngest son. We flew him out to go see his older sister when he was still in high school, college. I can't remember. Anyway, it was just as he went into college. And we flew him out there on his grade. And he said they play this thing called pickleball. And I said, he goes, oh, they're really good at it. And my daughter and her boyfriend were coming home that summer for a visit. And I was like, pickleball. What's pickleball? And he goes, oh, it's fun. I'm like, okay, we have to get good at it. So when they come here, we can play with them. And we had 8 of us on a court. It was hysterical. We had a wonderful. That's how I got them done.
I love it. I love it because it's like my in-laws, I love them to bits, but I would generally never see them. But now I see them every week and we have fun. So it is a great social game. Yes. I think I was in New York last year and is it at the bottom of 6th or 7th Avenue? They've got all the pickleball courts. And I was like, wow, these weren't here last time.
No, that's actually the playground of the school that my kids went to in elementary school. Is right there, Little Red. Yeah,
Wow.
They dropped into some pickleball. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. If you could have dinner with any historical woman, who would it be?
I don't know if this is too soon, but maybe Toni Morrison.
I don't think it's too soon.
And before that, I'm so sorry. I classic texts was my major in college, and I'm like, A Room with One Sound, Jane Austen.
Ooh.
Movie. There's several, but I think the one I would really love to sit down and talk with.
Nice. Cats or dogs?
Both, but dogs.
Everyone goes with the dogs. And what's your favorite movie?
Oh, I definitely don't have one.
No, too many to choose from.
No, there's 2. I can't go there. And it's so funny because that's so often an icebreaker. And I'm like, nah, sorry, I can't answer that one. I can tell you the most impactful movie on me.
Ooh, yes.
Was.
Did you not want to go in the water?
I did not swim in the Long Island Sound for several years after that. My girlfriend, I think either, what was I don't know, 10 or something, took us to, went with her family and we sat in the front row and I screamed and I go, what was that? I didn't go in the water for years.
You're not alone. I'm quite sure there's a lot of kids who've not been in the water through Jaws. Oh, Catherine, what have you got coming up? What can we look forward to in the future?
Well, I am developing Lifesaver as a feature. There's a lot of story behind it and in front of it. And so my next thing will probably be in the new year, looking for fundraising to be able to shoot the feature.
That's so cool. Oh,
I also
wow.
have that I've written, and I actually have a short film that I've not shot called Dignity. That's around dying and dignity, death and dignity. And but after reading, was encouraged to expand that into features. So I'm doing that as well.
And would you like me to put your details up, down, left, right, so people can find
you know what? Wherever you want. If you put on moonhillpictures.com, my website.
They will appear right here magically. Everyone will be looking at them. Catherine, it is such a pleasure to talk to you. You are such a brave and inspirational person. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, we're going to be back right after this trailer.
I see England, I see France, I see Daisy's underpants. Miss, the boys are bothering us again.
Oh, Daisy, again? Well, they're just being boys.
I didn't say you could leave yet. Be on time tomorrow.
Back off. Don't ever tell on me again.
You just gotta get used to it. It's a price of being pretty.
Meemaw to the rescue.
Isn't those boys? Honey, flash them a smile and walk away, leave them in your dust.
What's that, Tom? Are we sponsored by anyone? No, Tom, you know clearly we're not sponsored by anyone at all. Apple? Apple doesn't sponsor this show. Not yet. I just simply love the way that all of their devices integrate with each other seamlessly and, it just works. But no, they're definitely not a sponsor of the show. Yet. Oh, look at that, Tom. Look at that. Just working. Just working. What's that? Oh, I can see it on my phone at the same. This is amazing. FaceTime. Friggin' brilliant, that is.